Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and story of others. Only on Real Revolution.
Welcome everybody here to the Missing Link. We are finally back on Facebook, and we have had a 30-day ban for something that I posted. My last two posts, I was just posting about tyranny in the government, and it said it went against community standards. It was very nothing, like I never said anything. The first one that I got my first strike on Facebook, I understand someone went off and said some nasty things about me and my girlfriend Angeline. So I kind of went off. I blasted his picture and I kind of lost it a little bit. So I kind of understood why that one I got a community strike, but my last two I didn't. So welcome, Johnny Giovanni Cirucci. How are you, brother?
Jesse, it is my distinct pleasure to be with you. You're a fantastic truth seeker and journalist and host, man. And you're being too kind to Face Crook. There's no reason to zap you other than you're being sincere. You're a threat to the matrix and the paradigm. So you're where you need to be, brother. Don't just stay strong is all.
Yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing. And, I kind of, sometimes it gets a little bit discouraging because of all the censorship. And then there's not a lot of people. And, I got my YouTube channel deleted. And then my second YouTube channel has got now its second strike. So now it's a 2 weeks. So now we're on our backup YouTube channel here as well. But it gets a little bit discouraging when it doesn't reach as much people as you want it to reach. And, but we just keep going, keep booking the interviews, and whatever transpires out of it transpires. And hopefully it reaches, even one person that changes them or helps them along their journey, then it makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. In a situation like that, Jesse, me being a Christian, I rely on my faith because there's only so much you can do, and it gets to a certain point where you have to just give it up to a higher power when you're fighting something that is as big and malevolent and malignant as it is. And it doesn't stop at Facebook or YouTube or Google. And there's a reason why Google's birthday, September 27th, the birthday of the Jesuits. That's where all roads still lead to. They still lead to Rome. But they are disintegrating right now. They're collapsing. It may not seem like they are, but they're pushing this hard with the what. And I'll try to keep you from hitting the third rail while we're on. They're pushing with what this hard because this is the end. This is the end. I'm not going to set a date for when it's going to collapse, but clearly we're a lot closer to the end than we were just 5 years ago. So there's a couple of different philosophies you can have. And I'm going to be a hypocrite right now and recommend that you keep plugging in, keep with Facebook and YouTube and these platforms that delete you. Every time they delete you, they still gain, they still win. Every time they reset you, you still have to start over and gain those subs back. But continue to create new accounts and give yourself a presence. And it's also good to have some place where you're not going to be harassed. Right now, I'm relying on what used to be Library, but now Odyssey. And I really should go back to YouTube, but after being deleted like 4 times, I just don't have the stomach lining for it anymore. It's just too upsetting. But I should go back just to have a presence there. It's just how much you can handle,
Yeah, it is a little bit disheartening, but we do have all our videos that get uploaded to BitChute. They get uploaded to Rumble. They get uploaded to our Telegram account. So, we do still have a presence. We still do have the word out there. So these interviews are important. Maybe sometimes there's not as many live viewers and comments and interaction as, I would like, but, we still get the information out there. And I think that's the most important part, is being able to speak with as many different people and get as many different perspectives and interpretations, because when you talk to one person and people get one person's perspective, oh well, he's just a wingnut and he's just crazy. But we've now, you're our 114th interview, and we've had like about 3 or 4 people on, sometimes 2 or 3 times, so we've done about 110 different perspectives. So, and these are people that are very well known, some people a lot more well known in the world than others, and so it's hard to discredit when you've got so many different interpretations that basically, kind of lead to the same thing. And like you said, all roads lead to Rome. And maybe you can start with telling us about yourself, a little bit about your journey. You started off in the military, didn't work out so well, and maybe just tell us a little bit about your path to, for anybody that may not know who you are.
Sure, Jesse. And that's going to be a lot of people, unfortunately. And that's what I love about your show is you're a sincere truth seeker, no matter where it leads. I'm career military, both in the Marine Corps and the Army. One tour in Iraq was more than enough for me. Towards the end of my military career, it was just like you said, it was very disappointing. And the deployment was, in particular, a bit of a wake-up call for me. I was still in during the so-called bin Laden raid. My background is a Italian Roman Catholic, and the whole family leans to the right on the political spectrum. And so we were very passionate about being good Americans, good patriots, and that's what put me towards the military. It wasn't too long for me growing up and maturing that I realized that all mainstream sources leaned hard to the left. And so that made me gravitate towards what was at that time, 80s and 90s, so-called alternative media, so-called conservative media. At the time, what was big, and I guess he's gone now, Rush Limbaugh, and Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, et cetera, et cetera. And what's interesting now, as I look back, is that several of these personalities are Catholic. One of them is Jewish, and one of them is may have been a pedophile, Rush Limbaugh. It was at this, really through the Obama administration, that I started to lose my patience with conservative media. They were pulling their punches, and I didn't know why. There was definitely something screwy about Barack Hussein Obama. There was definitely something screwy. He had a mysterious background. He just suddenly appeared on the screen and rocketed into stardom. But for some reason, these mainstream, alternative conservative hosts, it's their job, and yet they were not investigating. They were pulling their punches on Barack Obama, and it started to aggravate me to the point where it was pushing me away as a viewer. And it was the bin Laden raid that did it. I was still in at the time, and I knew right off the bat that there was something, as my British friends would say, dodgy about the Osama bin Laden raid. Did I say Obama? Yeah, the bin Laden raid. This is vaunted Navy SEAL Team 6 going after the very reason for the global war on terror, right? Osama bin Laden. And their instructions were shoot him on sight and dump him in the ocean. This is the most valuable asset, the most valuable intelligence target for the entire global war on terror. Shoot him on sight, dump him in the ocean. Meanwhile, they're waterboarding Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, I don't know, what do they say, 800 times, some ridiculous number, to get every scrap of information out of KSM, right? But Osama bin Laden shoot him on sight, dump in the ocean. How stupid are we? Then it starts to filter back that the Situation Room photo with Obama and Gates and Jesuit-trained Catholic Leon Panetta and Hillary Rodham with her hand on her mouth was faked, because we were told that there was no live feed from the SEAL Team 6 raid. Then, and these are mainstream sources that I reference in my books, mainstream sources. More mainstream sources say that the pictures of Osama bin Laden with his face smashed in, I guess they dropped an Acme piano onto his face. I don't even know how they got that picture, because the brave Navy SEALs shot him on sight and dumped him in the ocean. That picture was also faked. That's admitted by mainstream sources. Well, in the midst of all this, my commanding officer at the time, great guy, Lieutenant Colonel, called me in the office, and I was a captain, and I left as a captain because it was obvious that I wasn't going to get promoted. He said, "Man, come on in here. I got to tell you something." Close the door. "What do you got, sir?" I've got connections inside the special operations community, and the bin Laden raid is not what they said it was. So I kind of figured that, sir. I appreciate you bringing me into your confidence. That's at the point, Jesse, where I broke with everybody, where it was obvious that the people that I was relying on to get more information than the lamestreams were giving up were still very much controlled. And even now today in so-called alternative media, still very much controlled. Now, how are they controlled? They're controlled as like Pavlov's dogs. They know what the third rail is. For instance, from 2012 on, from 2012 on to 2019, the third rail was up in Connecticut, a certain mass shooting that we won't talk about at a school. And the supposed shooter's name rhymes with Costanza. That used to be the third rail. Not allowed to talk about that. The Connecticut state trooper that briefed people said, "I will come after you. If you question me, I will come after you. I will find you and arrest you, no matter where you are. If you're in one of the Virgin Little St. James Islands, Virgin Branson. Mr. Everything's got to be Virgin with Branson. Epstein Air with Azorgi Island. No matter where you are, I'm going to come get you." So that used to be the third rail up until 2019. And now the third rail is, you know what? Put your mask on, get your shot, get your booster, get your cooster, that clearly is the third rail. That'll get us disappeared. So this made me break. Now, ever since college, Jesse, I've been blogging. I actually was a journalist for the university newspaper way back. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Way back, decades ago, I was a journalist for the university newspaper. And going to college, it was a public school. It was a typical left-leaning public college. It taught me I am not a conservative anymore. I love conservatives, but I call them conservatards because they're actually more part of the problem. Conservatards are more part of the problem now than communtards are, because conservatards should know better. Their values of independence, respect for life, respect for things bigger than them, God and country, should make them ask questions and not to poop themselves over obvious frauds like Donald Trump. But back in the day, I was a journalist for the university newspaper, and it taught me things. It taught me how to never have an opinion. Make a statement and then cite your source. And I've been doing it ever since, Jess. I was blogging at that time. And so regularly blogging and doing articles that nobody ever saw got me started. And, digging and in that journalist frame of mind. And when I parted company with the conservative news, it made me blog harder. And I did, in my own search for truth, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more, everything was Illuminati. Illuminati this, Illuminati that. And it was sketchy to me. Illuminati, who the heck who are the Illuminati? If the Illuminati are the bad guys, how am I going to go get them? What am I going to do? Military mindset. I need to know who the enemy is in order to defeat them and win the war. Illuminati tells me nothing. Deep state tells me nothing. Globalist tells me nothing. What other keywords? Satan worshipers. It tells me nothing.
What about Bilderberg Group?
What else?
Bilderberg Group?
That's a little closer because you can trace that. You can trace that to a Jesuit named Joseph Redinger, but nobody does. And that's a couple of the reasons why I got focused on Rome. Now, me being born and raised Italian Roman Catholic, I had a conversion experience in college. January 16th, 1994, became born-again Christian. And that radically altered my views. I always knew that there was a problem with the Catholic Church. I just didn't know what it was. And boy, have I found out. Bilderberg, founded by a Jesuit named Joseph Redinger. I believe he was Polish. How do you say Bilderberg and never say Jesuits? How do you say Illuminati and never say Johann Adam Weishaupt? From a family of Jews that converted to Roman Catholic. Weishaupt himself, I've got at least two sources, a collared Jesuit. Started his Jesuit education at age 7. And just like Francis Xavier, the co-founder of the Jesuits, said, give me the child at until 7 and I will give you the man. So how do you say, this is what was, the light went off for me, Jesse. Illuminati, and nobody ever said Jesuit. Very few said Weishaupt, and none of them said Jesuit. And when I found that out, I was like, how is that possible? Trilateral. Everybody that says trilateral, none of them say Zbigniew Brzezinski, devout Roman Catholic. A leftist Democrat Roman Catholic who was a massive war hawk who created, as well as the Trilateral Commission, created and chaired the Trilateral Commission. He also created Al-Qaeda. So when we were starting this global war on terror, only once in a while would you have these ridiculous sources like Hillary Rodham saying, well, yeah, we did create our own bad guys, but, it is what it is now, right? Excuse me? No. Let's burrow a little bit deeper in there. Let's go a little deeper. We created our own bad guys, right? Al-Qaeda, created by devout Roman Catholic, dear friend of Carol Joseph Wojtyla, a.k.a. Pope St. John Paul II, a.k.a. What was he? He was, according to Bill Cooper, he was a cyanide salesman, I think, for the Nazis. And behold, the pale horse. Great job by Bill Cooper. So all this stuff is common to me as I'm having to look myself, Jesse. And this I did an article and it got carried by a couple of outside sources. I haven't had outside sources carry my articles ever since, but it did well. And as a result, it was on the Illuminati, and the Jesuit roots of the Illuminati. And because the article did well, I was like, you know what? I need to buckle down and write a book about this because there's just such an incredibly large amount of information. I got out of the military and couldn't find a good job. An officer, a college-educated Iraq War veteran officer with my resume, and I couldn't get a decent job. I felt kind of pigeonholed into what I was doing. And I've been blessed with a fantastic wife who enabled me to become a full-time journalist and make no money at it. And so that was my first book, Illuminati Unmasked. And it's exactly what it says, Illuminati Unmasked. My goal is, from a military perspective, to do what we're all supposed to be doing here, Jess, is to tell truth seekers who the real enemies are so that they can be focused on how to win the war. And that's what upsets me. And that's what I've been doing ever since Names, Places, and Dates. And for me, all of those names, places, and dates continuously lead back to Rome. Where do you want to go if you want to control a country? You control a country through their courts. The highest court in America is the Supreme Court. and they're accountable to virtually no one. The Supreme Court is run by 5.5, I think it's like 5.5 Roman Catholics and 3 token leftist Jews. And Neil Gorsuch doesn't know if he's a Catholic or an Episcopalian. Episcopalian is a Catholic light anyway. It says it right there in horribly controlled Wikipedia. He's not sure if he identifies as a Catholic or an Episcopalian. It doesn't matter. He was trained by the Jesuits at Georgetown Prep, just like Brett Beerme Kavanaugh. Whatever happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. Brett Beerme Kavanaugh. And Jesse, we're told again and again, yeah, I know they're Catholics, but we need them on the Supreme Court because they're conservative. And what has the Supreme Court gotten us ever since? Loss after loss, freedom gone, loss after loss, controlled and owned, disproportionately owned by Roman Catholics. Many of them belong to a very secret, perverse, deviant Opus Dei, including the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who personally made sure that socialized communist medicine stayed legal, wrote both opinions. He wrote the dissenting and he wrote for and against communist socialized healthcare that is mislabeled Obamacare. It's called Obamacare because you want to focus your anger. A little bit in my Illuminati en masse, I was focusing my anger too much on Barack Obama. That poor guy is nothing more than a CIA stooge.
Puppet.
He was sexually abused by his own father, Frank Marshall Davis, a communist, Chicago communist. And that started him on the path of having no identity. And you wonder why we have all this evidence that Michelle is actually Michael. The poor guy's a mess. He's got to look at his, absolutely, Don. He's got to look at his teleprompter to know whether or not to go to the bathroom. That wasn't Obamacare. He's just a target for us to be angry at. And so I had these realizations, and it put me on this path to where I am today. Let's stop and look at this current situation of absolute tyranny based on a victor, or what? The sickness that's going around. How can I say it without keywords?
Yeah, I say cuckoo virus. So
yeah, cuckoo virus. Good, cuckoo virus. Yeah. So the who was the name and the face of the cuckoo virus? Anthony Fauci, a twice Jesuit trained, devout Italian Roman Catholic
that was responsible for the AIDS epidemic.
How much time have we got? Home run.
He hit the home run. He hit the home run for them with the AIDS. So now he was the perfect man to pull out this whole big, crazy scam that's going on now.
He proved himself evil enough and vicious enough to attempt to commit genocide against undesirables, starting in the homosexual community, but greatly expanding to minorities, non-Caucasians, and eventually anybody and everybody, women and children. And it had the same format. He proved that he was that evil. Now, he's also quite a hypocrite because he has admitted, and I've got mainstream sources, that he used to troll homosexual Turkish bathhouses as part of his research for HIV and AIDS, right? So clearly there's evidence that he himself is a sexual deviant. And yet he had no problem with using the AIDS scam, HIV AIDS scam, to slaughter, essentially genocide, starting in the homosexual community, but expanding beyond that. So here's proof. I've got two words. HIV does not cause AIDS. HIV doesn't even exist. Whether you agree with me or that or not. HIV doesn't cause AIDS, and AIDS does not cause you to waste away and die. AZT, Anthony Fauci's AZT, causes you to waste away and die. Two
that,
words.
the Astrazine?
2 words will prove this. Magic Johnson.
Johnson. I had that in my head.
How is Magic Johnson still alive after all these years? It's very simple. He stopped taking AZT. And here's the basis of the HIV AIDS scam. There's a couple of them. It's the same paradigm that we're using today for the cookie virus. The paradigm is you're sick. You're sick in an odd way. You go to the doctor. The doctor runs a test or tests on you, and the doctor tells you what your sickness is. What is actually going on? What is going on is, from a health perspective,
sorcery.
Yeah. That's why Christians are so hyped up on the word pharmakia right now, which traces back to drugs and pharmaceuticals. What is health and what is sickness? It's very, very simple. Your body needs to take in things that are good for it, not take in things that are bad for it. It's very simple. And when that happens, you need to find out what's going on. Now, if your environment, if your terrain is filled with toxins, you're going to get sick. If you're not taking in healthy food, you're going to get sick. If you're taking in toxins, if you're being irradiated, you're going to get sick. The medical industry, pause, what is medicine? Medicine is in and of itself a fraud. Medicine implies you take a substance to get well. That's not healthcare. Same thing with a doctor. Doctor comes from the Latin docere, which means to instruct, has nothing to do with healing.
I call glorified drug dealer.
Exactly. And this is why I'm so soured on the entire medical industry. Viciously, deeply, I have such a strong hatred towards the medical industry. They've got to know this, Jesse. They've got to know that what is real healthcare? You come in, you say, Doc, I'm not sleeping well. Okay, what do you do all day? Do you sit at a computer? How do you eat? What do you eat? Are you married? Are you happily married? What is your stress? Are you sitting outside in a city outside of an antenna? Do you have strong Wi-Fi in your office? Do you not get up for 4 hours at a clip? Do you sit in front of a computer all that time? That a real healer needs to know everything about you. When was the last time a doctor asked all those questions?
I was going to say that doesn't happen.
Never happens. That's what healthcare is. What does a doctor do? I'm not sleeping. Oh, I've got a drug for you. And as soon as I give you this drug, I get a kickback. Now, that might sound like an exaggeration. That is the exact paradigm in cancer. Cancer is the ultimate expression of your body being poisoned. There are stages. There are stages of your body telling you, stop, you're poisoning me. Stop, you're poisoning me. They go from loss of energy to itchy skin lesions, because your skin is the largest organ in your body. That's where toxins last-ditch effort to get pushed out. There are 7 stages of disease, and cancer is the final stage of disease, the chaotic growth of cells. When you're finally at that stage, your body has almost had it. It's screaming at you, you've been poisoning me. And there's either one of 2 ways. Either you've been taking in small doses of poison over a long period of time, or you've been taking in a massive amount of poison at a short period of time. That's all that cancer is. What does a doctor do? A doctor turns around and gives you more poison.
More poison.
Gives you more poison. An oncologist actually gets a percentage kickback of how much chemotherapy they give you.
It's worth $1 million per person, from what I heard. $1 million for every person that they diagnose. And what was really sad about 10 or so years ago, there was somebody in the States, the doctor, he got caught for prescribing 200 to 300 people saying that they had cancer, and they went through chemotherapy and they never did. So he literally put that mustard gas poison into 200 to 300 people for his 40 or 50 grand. Out of that $1 million, they get about 40 to 100 grand, it is, I think. And, you know, out of the million, and for profit, he ended up poisoning and damaging people.
Jesse, if we were in a real society, a society of justice run by the people, that individual would be given chemotherapy until he was dead. If we were living in a society of justice, a guy whose name rhymes with Ouchie would be given AZT until he couldn't stand up, and then he'd be shoved in to be strapped down to a table where he was eaten alive by sand fleas, the way he spent my tax money to just horribly kill beagle puppies.
Dogs.
Are you monster? You must. And this is the satanic troll leading the kooky virus response. Are you kidding me? And he's been with infectious diseases representative of the United States government for like 40 years. Are you kidding me? And how is nobody saying Jesuit in Rome through all this? What is going on here? AZT and AIDS. Okay. So that's how he got his start. AZT was chemotherapy. It was so incredibly toxic. The government, the FDA took it off the list. You can't use that. It's killing people too fast. Anthony Fauci brought it back to fight AIDS. What was really going on with HIV and AIDS? And for this, who is a great source? Let me see. Gary Null, who I reached out to and didn't respond to me. It breaks my heart. Was doing fantastic work in the 80s and 90s. A real on-site investigator going in New York City, going in San Francisco. It was Gary Null who interviewed Carrie Mullis. Carrie Mullis, who just happened to die on August 7th, the anniversary of the Jesuits being reconstituted in 1814. That's just a coincidence, though. Carrie Mullis, who would have been just a stake in the heart of the kooky virus, and Anthony Fauci especially, who happened to die in 2019 on the anniversary of the Jesuits being constituted on August 7th.
What happened between 2017 and 2019? 200 to 300 naturopaths and doctors, people that would speak out against all of this, made their untimely demise.
And before 2017, before they were being murdered wholesale, Jesse, they were being crushed and kicked out. They were not being allowed to actually heal people. It was an absolute, to this day, an absolute lock of the medical industry on our health. And it is completely inverted. The number one cause of death everywhere in the world are doctors.
Medical malpractice.
Absolutely. Now I've got a study that says malpractice is like number 3 or number 4 behind cancer and cardiovascular disease. The problem is that doctors cause cancer and cardiovascular disease. They're causing the deaths because they're purposefully misdiagnosing you and they're purposefully poisoning. When you receive chemotherapy, what does it do? What is a big side effect for chemotherapy? More cancer. How is it possible that a doctor treats you and gives you more of the same disease? I've seen this again and again. The vaccines that are being given to people actually cause the disease that they're supposedly working against.
Supposedly now the new injections here actually have HIV in them.
Well, here's what I think is going on, Jesse. Here's what I think is going on. And this is why I alluded to Gary Null, who did fantastic research back in the 80s and 90s on HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS is HIV, first of all, big picture, AIDS. What is the S in AIDS? Syndrome, right? Why is that there? It is there because these frauds that call themselves doctors want to take any number of a plethora of symptoms and throw them all in together. I have shortness of breath. I've lost my appetite. I've lost weight. My butt itches when I sit down for too long. It's all HIV and AIDS. Those are all symptoms of AIDS. You can do and say whatever you want. As soon as you have to be tested to tell you whether you're sick or not, whoa. Red flag. Just imagine this is red. This is my Johnny BS flag. Whoa. You're going to test me and tell me if I'm sick. My body's going to tell me if I'm sick. I don't need you to test me and tell me if I'm sick.
You're your own best doctor.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the problem, Jess. The bottom line is everything is malignant. Everything. Government, doctors, scientists, car mechanics. Anybody that has a leg up on you is going to abuse that. They're going to use that leg up on you to stand on you. And if they have a monopoly on guns and radios and coercive force like they do in Australia, we used to say something in the military, stand the foxtrot by. Stand the F by. And that is exactly what's going on. They had a false, I don't know if Australia is back that way. That's just me doing that. They had a false flag in a Foxtrot Fox. I shouldn't have said that. That's going to be a strike against you. They had a Foxtrot back in 1996 in Port Arthur in Tasmania. Absolutely a false flag. Absolutely a false flag. And that was the beginning of the end of Australia freedom. And today it is culminated in what's going on now, where it's just concentration camps. No exaggeration. Concentration camps, where if you don't obey the rules, wear your mask, get your shot, get tested, you don't go home. Are you kidding me? It's surreal. It's absolutely Orwellian. And it started with, and just you nailed it, Anthony Fauci and AIDS. And it goes further back than that. Each time we were scammed. Bird flu, swine flu, Ebola. Again and again. It was we're being punked. Because the bottom line is, it's a matter of, it's sickness. Real quick to go back and finish my thought on Gary Null and HIV. What is HIV? HIV is nothing more in the 80s and 90s than small cliques in the homosexual community, particularly in New York City, who had really unhealthy lifestyles. They were getting together in clubs through the weekend. They were getting together as groups in apartments and blowing through an entire weekend of drugs, alcohol, and sex, high-risk sex. And first of all, that concept, high risk, is also a misnomer. They were taking amyl nitrate, aka poppers, in order to facilitate a weekend full of sex. They were giving them taking cocaine to try and stay awake, sleep deprivation. They were foolishly taking vaccines. They were taking penicillin and hepatitis vaccines, a hepatitis vaccine that guys like Anthony Fauci created by torturing orphans to death. That's a whole nother story. Filling themselves with drugs. And surprise, surprise, at the end of that time, at the end of that weekend, and doing this over and over again, weekend after weekend, they were having serious health issues. Well, go figure. Go figure. They were destroying themselves.
And no nutrition,
yes,
no fruits and vegetables.
Yes. All they needed to do was stop their high-risk behavior. Stop with the drugs. Stop the amyl nitrate. Stop doing 20, 26 partners in a weekend just for the sake of it. Stop eating good, fresh fruits and vegetables and grabbing yourself a nasty a burger on the way just to have something, or not at all. Just skipping meals altogether. It was a dramatically unhealthy lifestyle and a culture, part of a culture. Well, guys like Anthony Fauci grabbed that and ran with it because it created weird symptoms. And the weird symptoms were purposefully misdiagnosed as a new boogie virus. Well, how do I know? How do I know, Jesse, if I have the boogie virus? They did this to me in the military all the time. They have to test you. They will test you and tell you if you have the new boogie virus. Then they tell you, yes, you do have the boogie virus. And the very process of telling you is in and of itself horribly debilitating to your health. Starting right up here. You get told you've got HIV, you might as well be told you have cancer. That's it. Then they turn around and make it 10 times worse by taking $3,000, $5,000 a clip and giving you AZT. And wasting you away and robbing you. I'm telling you, as the full extent comes known, Jesse, people need to be running through the streets with torches and pitchforks and nooses. So this is where they really perfected the scam to lead into what we're dealing with today. And the censorship is in and of itself another red flag. Whoa. No one's allowed to question the narrative. No one does question the narrative. And if you do question the narrative, you're absolutely crushed. Real healers are arrested because they're not licensed. Are you kidding me? I've heard it said that a license is the government granting you permission to commit an otherwise illegal act, such as defending yourself with a firearm, such as healing someone, such as what else do you need? Driving a motor vehicle is normally illegal until the government says it is not, until the government has all your information and can do whatever it wants to you, until you sign a contract. Yeah, I'm in. So this is what put me on the path, Jesse, and I continue to see another big name, Robert Gallo, Italian Roman Catholic Knight of Malta, the guy that had this watershed breakthrough, suddenly realized that it was a virus that caused AIDS, right? Well, what's the paper? Do you ever hear Carrie Mullis tell this story? Great story. Carrie Mullis is working off of a government grant tracing HIV. And the grant had to be renewed. And he's the one writing the renewal. And he gets to the point where he says HIV is the cause of AIDS. And he's actually a real scientist. And he says, I need a paper to footnote. HIV is the cause of AIDS, according to so-and-so and so-and-so at the University of so-and-so in whatever, 1976. And he realized he couldn't find one. There was no paper. Well, wait a minute. What is the source of the statement HIV causes AIDS? It's Robert Gallo. Okay, what was Gallo's source? Well, he didn't have one. He just made a press conference without a source. And the New York Times ran with it. Oh, and it just so happens that Robert Gallo is an Italian Roman Catholic Knight of Malta. So they spin this up. Oh, and by the way, he had Margaret Mary O'Shaughnessy, a.k.a. Margaret Heckler, who was Ronald Reagan's Secretary of Health and Human Services, standing by his side. The power of the United States government. Absolutely. This man is lying, and I attest to it. What was Margaret Mary Heckler's, Margaret Mary O'Shaughnessy, Irish Roman Catholic, Jesuit trained, as a lawyer? What were her, what's on her resume to get her as Secretary of Health and Human Services? Jesuit trained Irish Roman Catholic, lawyer. No experience in healing people, none whatsoever. Congresswoman. So they spin this up and they eventually say, all right, you know what? I call this the hook. I call this the hook. People are asking questions about HIV and AIDS. So the mainstreams admit, you know what? You're right to ask questions. There actually is something going on. And what really happened is Robert Gallo stole his research from a guy named Luc Montagnier in France. I mean, there's really HIV and AIDS. It really does exist. But what happened was this guy, he's a bad guy. You're right. He's a bad guy. He stole his research. So wait a minute. So you're going to agree with me that he's a bad guy, but you still want me to vest myself into your baloney about HIV and AIDS. Well, it turns out that Luc Montagnier is just as big a Roman Catholic fraud as Robert Gallo. This is how they spin you up. Yes, you're right to ask questions about 9/11. The official story is wrong. It wasn't two civilian jetliners making engineering history, getting 3 skyscrapers in New York City to collapse on their own footprint. It was particle beam weapons from space. Okay? Go read Judy Wood. That's what really happened. Go watch Jesse Ventura. And I love Jesse Ventura. But it's the hook. They give up one lie to get you further vested in another. Where were we going with so many rabbit holes? I've lost myself. I'm in the rabbit hole and I can't find my way out. Pick a topic, Jesse, and we'll how much time do we have?
Oh, we still got an hour.
Good. Pick a topic and we'll keep running.
Okay, so basically, kind of goes with what you're saying is, one lie to protect another, this lie, that lie, this deception. So when they give us, the Freemasons, when they give us the Jesuits, when they give us, the Rothschilds, when they give us, even the Knights of Malta, these aren't the ones that are actually pulling the strings, because they don't want us to know who's actually the puppet masters. They're the ones who, maybe the Orsinis, the Fanucci's, the ones who are at the top when they say, oh yeah, it's the Rothschilds. They're the bad guys. But again, they're just puppets for the people who are actually pulling the strings. So let's go to the top of what is as high up as we can go.
You bet. Here's what I think, Jesse, and this is what I've seen as a researcher, and you and your wonderful audience can agree or disagree. I prefer that you do neither, that you look this up yourself. I think that the Jesuit-run Roman Catholic Church is at the top. It's even above the so-called black nobility, but you're absolutely right to mention these families. Because if you ask Google, which was coincidentally born on the birthday of the Jesuits, September 27th, who really runs the world from behind the scenes, you'll get Rothschild, you'll get Rockefeller, Rothschild, Red Shield. Who wore the red shields in battle? It was the Roman army. Meyer Amschel Rothschild decided that his big company that he was going to make his name with by insider trading over the war against Napoleon, who was Napoleon was managed by a Roman Catholic priest named Joseph Sias, and Napoleon Bonaparte himself was raised by Jesuits on the island of Corsica. Meyer Amschel Rothschild named his company Meyer Amschel Rothschild and Son. Now, why would he do that? To create the acronym of Mars, the Roman god of war. And I love Tupper Saucy as a source on this. Rulers of Evil, fantastic book. Highly recommend after my 4 books, going to be 5 very soon. The Rothschilds, according to the Encyclopedia Judaica, are nothing more than the keepers of the Vatican treasury. Rockefeller, Rothschild. You're not going to see DuPont anymore, but DuPont, middlemen, they're all middlemen. The real names are, as you already mentioned, Jesse, Orsini, Colonna, De Medici, Aldo Blandini. Who else? Borgia, Farnese. Look up the Farnese family villa, and it'll look sinisterly a lot like
the Pentagon.
The Pentagon, whose foundational stone was laid on September 11th, 1941, just a few months before Pearl Harbor. I was watching an update from David Cole, whose Aboriginal name is Lernpa, and he mentions an international organization called UNIDROIT. And what a great lead. UNIDROIT is the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law. And it has a French name. And where is it founded? Where is it stationed? It's stationed in Rome, Italy. This is from Wikipedia, totally controlled Wikipedia. The seat of UNIDROIT is in Rome, Italy, between the Nazionale and Panspermia, occupying the Villa Aldobrandini, a 17th century princely villa that borders the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, the Angelicum, to the south. Huh. And as Lernpa said in his video, all roads are still leading to Rome. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
The Roman Empire.
What else can we do, Jess?
So let's talk about what's your thoughts on CERN and what's taken place with CERN, if you know about that.
Sure. Yeah. It's been a while since I looked at CERN. What I think is going on, and the Jesuits have a big footprint at CERN. Let me see if I look up my dossier. Do I have a dossier still existent on CERN? And I have a good Jesuit quote there.
Apparently, CERN, and they're looking to open up a portal to Saturn where they believe Satan is, and they're trying to bring Satan from Saturn through CERN, through the portal that they're trying to open up.
Yeah, good reference, Jesse. You know, there's a reason why. Who created the Big Bang? It was a Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic priest named Georges Lemaitre. I was watching a Christian host say earlier today, and I responded to him. Great guy. He was looking up, and he was surprised to find that it was a Catholic priest that created the Big Bang Theory. And what the priest said is he was just meditating on Genesis over and over again, and suddenly the Big Bang came to him. Almighty God himself said, first there was nothing and then it exploded. Oh, well, now there's real science for you. Now there's real science. Thank you for rescuing the Bible, Father Lemaitre. The secret Roman Catholic handler of the fraud, of the Jewish fraud of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is just a face and a Jewish name to the fraud that is pseudoscience, scientism, which is a phony religion.
And they stole a lot of the stuff from Tesla, and they pawned it off as Einstein. And it's a lot of theft that came from his supposed intelligence or genius.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla had a fantastic handle on natural electromagnetic radiation being in our environment, surging up through the earth, being in the atmosphere. He said he had plans that could permanently sustainable energy by drawing electricity from the atmosphere. And surprise, surprise, as soon as no one paid any attention to him, he died in poverty. And as soon as he died, the FBI kicked in the door to his hotel room and stole all of his documents, and they gave it to a guy by the name of John Trump. Working for the FBI to sift through them and make sure there weren't any death rays and particle beam weapons and things. Listen, this is national security. I'm allowed to steal anything I want for the sake of national security. Well, can we have it all back? No, it's okay. I got to keep it for national security. Where are the film footage? Where are the CCTV? Because there's a CCTV camera everywhere. Where are the CCTV camera footage for 9/11 at the Pentagon? Where are the CCTV camera footage up in Connecticut for that big shooting up there that I'm not allowed to say? Well, the FBI needs that. We'll show that to you later. It's under seal for 150 years. So
Like the injection results. 75 years, we can't know the results on these injections is this crazy thing that they've
And
just
yet,
came out.
Jesse, they were ready to go in like months. Normally, supposedly, it takes them years to come up with a vaccine, to do their research. And by the way, the isolation process in and of itself is such overt fraud. That should tell you everything you need to know.
And one step above is that they actually, because they can isolate it, the stuff that's being injected into everybody comes from a genetic code that mimics what they think it's supposed to be, made up by the Chinese. And now it's being injected to all of the soldiers. And guess what? When they want to invade, they turn up the frequency, all the soldiers drop. Nobody's going to be able to defend themselves against the Chinese.
Completely synthetic. Now, supposedly, the old story is a vaccine is a little bit of the virus, and it allows your body to be inoculated. That whole process is complete and utter fraud. They actually admit in open sources, well, there's not enough of this new virus to do that, so we had to make it up ourselves. What? The isolation process has nothing to do with science. Has nothing to do with the scientific method. The scientific method, make an observation, develop an hypothesis. Imagine an experiment to test your hypothesis. In this process, isolate all of the variables. Then conduct your experiment in as sterile and pristine an environment as you are able. And if you are able to replicate your observation, there is a good chance that your hypothesis is accurate. Then you give your meticulous notes to someone of equal or greater acumen in your field. They also conduct your experiment, retracing your steps and testing what you did. And if they also come up with a mimicking of your observation, then there is an even greater chance, it's not guaranteed, that your hypothesis is accurate. The virus isolation process has absolutely nothing to do with that. As soon as you take a sample from a human body, within seconds of it leaving the host, it degrades. You have seconds to examine that sample. You better test it right now. They don't do that.
No nanosecond testing?
No instant nanosecond testing. As a matter of fact, 99.999% of doctors and scientists will not look at a sample if it's live, which is the exact opposite of what their job is. They first kill the sample. Then they immerse the sample in preservatives. They've already contaminated. As soon as you kill the sample and immerse it in preservatives, you've contaminated the sample. It is no longer an accurate sample. They don't stop there. They then mix the sample with foreign biological material, such as fetal bovine serum, which in and of itself is unbelievably satanic. They're using these cattle up until these poor animals die with babies in their stomach. Then they pull the baby cow out and pull out its heart. And that's the material. You satanic monsters. That's the material that goes into this testing process. Anybody that wants to get out of these mandatory vaccines, walk down the path of being a conscientious objector, whether it's just for your own conscience sake or religious matters. The unbelievably evil things they have done to create these things, to test these things, in and of itself, They're
Not to
using
mention the aborted fetuses, like
aborted fetuses.
coming from kids that they're making this abortion all popular. Okay, we'll go get these abortions so we can suck the kids out of people, and then
Put them back into you.
Semtex, and then in Doritos and Pepsi and all kinds of products.
And they're laughing, yes.
McDonald's meat. They've got, they've tested how many times they've been tested that's got human, meat inside of it.
You've heard of what happens when these monsters that are raising animals for slaughter feed the animals their own kind, giving cow to feed.
Mad cow disease.
Right. They're laughing themselves. They're laughing when they do that. They're laughing when they get us to eat babies. They're laughing when they inject us with babies. They add foreign organic material, monkey kidney cells, fetal bovine serum, aborted baby tissue. Then they're not done. They starve the sample. Then they poison the sample with antibiotics. Then they mix it all together. They put it in a centrifuge. And viola, you still can't see it. What is an antibody test? What is an antibody test? Well, we can't see the boogie virus, but we will look at your body to see if it created antibodies to fight the boogie virus. And then if the antibodies are in there, then you clearly have it. You have it. That same method of logic, that same method of science says, okay, oh, look, there's a puff of smoke in the middle of the street. What happened? Well, what happened was a drug dealer raced his Lamborghini up and saw the police roadblock and did a donut and then went in the opposite direction. How do you know that? Just a puff of smoke there. Well, I'm the expert. Well, another expert says that a meteorite hit the ground right there and caused a puff of smoke. Well, he doesn't get as much money as I do. You're looking at what happened, and you're making an erroneous causal deduction. The very foundation of germ theory is an erroneous causal deduction. The person is sick. The person has an organ that is failing. There is bacteria surrounding the organ. Viola, the bacteria caused the sickness. That is an erroneous causal deduction. The bacteria was drawn to the sickness because its job is to get rid of sick and dying tissue. That's what bacteria does. I've heard this over and over. I'm sure you have. That's like jumping up on a house fire and making the deduction that the fireman caused the house fire. Now, occasionally that just might be true, but for the most part, it's usually not. You're making an erroneous causal deduction. And I think, Jesse, that these people, they might have been that freaking stupid at the beginning, but they absolutely know today that that is just fraud. It is absolute fraud. The bottom line, brother, is if we have to rely on, here's another great example. Don't tell me I know somebody that died. This is real. Okay, where did they die? Did they die in front of you? Did they die driving to work and cause a huge pileup because it was a terrible plague like the bubonic plague? Did they collapse right in front of you? Did you hold them in your arms as they passed away? Where did they die? They died in the hands of doctors. That's another red flag, Jess. All of the deaths are occurring in the hands of doctors. If this were a real plague, they'd be dropping dead everywhere. You wouldn't have to iron fist people. People will be running for your quack scenes because they'd be seeing people dropping dead, like in one of the hundreds of virus zombie movies that we've been seeing to get us wrapped up into this over and over and over again. That's another red flag. Where are they dying? They're dying in hospices. They're being moved by these perennial Roman Catholic power families like the Cumos, like Mario Cuomo, the far-left Roman Catholic governor of New York, father of Andrew Cuomo, the far-left Roman Catholic governor of New York, brother of Fredo Cuomo, also known as Chris Cuomo, the far-left Roman Catholic anchor for CIANN. Oh, that's all right. They were forced out. They had to step down in humiliation. Justice is served. Absolutely. Andrew Cuomo is responsible for thousands of murders. Thousands of murders. Oh, he was forced to step down. Justice is served. Are you kidding me? Justice has not even remotely been served. You've got, what's his name there? Gruesome Newsom there in the People's Republic of Mexipoli, I like to call it. The nephew of Nancy Pelosi, the perennial speakerette of the House, Jesuit-trained, far-left, pro-abortion Roman Catholic. How is it that good Catholics put up with this? Every single powerful Catholic is far-left and pro-abortion, pro-baby slaughter.
And a scumbag.
And a scumbag. And so is Papa Francis, Dirty Wars Jorge. If the Roman Catholic Church wanted to stop abortion, 2 billion Catholics, maybe 3, the Roman Catholic Church could stop abortion like that.
First, they'd probably have to stop touching kids.
Right. Stop touching your grandma. Don't touch your grandma. No. Let her be isolated. Let her die of depression, which is what we want. Too early to hug grandma. Too early to even see her. Stand on the other side of the plexiglass. Put your hand up where her hand is. And then walk away and let her die. And this is Jesuit justice, Jesse. We should never have put grandma in the hospice in the first place.
100%. Now, didn't they say when these things, these injections first came out that they had to be at like minus 100 degrees and all this? So would that mean that every single mobile injection site, and when they're injecting them in McDonald's or they're injecting them wherever they're injecting them, are they having these big freezers that are minus 100, and every single one of these, like, how did it just change from, it had to be this sub-zero temperature injection to now it's just everywhere?
Jesse, the amount of ridiculous illogic that these people have foisted on us. Compare your question to how far is social distancing necessary? Well, here it's 3 feet. In France, it's 5 feet. In Canada, it's 6 feet. Wait a minute. Are you people saving lives? Why can't you all be on the same sheet of music? How far is it? What is this testing process? What are you jamming a swab to the back of my head for? Okay? If I have to muzzle myself because this virus, all I do is breathe and this virus goes everywhere, why do you got to go to the back of my head to get a sample of the virus?
Break the nasal cavity and put on something that says right on the box, this does not protect against viruses. Because
they want to interact with the trigeminal nerve in the blood-brain barrier and deliver something. It's a delivery system. And I don't know what they're delivering, in the same way that we have no idea what's in the vaccine, the quackcine. Because it is illegal to ask or look. It was the great patriot president, Ronald Wilson Reagan, and far-left Jewish Congressman Henry Waxman that made it illegal to sue Big Pharma.
That's so sickening.
That is why Bill the Vaccinator Gates is making a 20-to-1 killing, both literally and financially, in his pharmaceutical investment. 20-to-1. He invests $1 million, gets $20 million back. You know why? Zero liability. Of the millions of people who are vaccine harmed, paralyzed, dead, you name it, You may have a few thousand that figure out, well, I can sue. Who do they sue? They sue us.
The people.
They sue the United States government, and we pay. Are you kidding me? That is the greatest business model in all human history. I poison the useless eaters. You pay me $1 gazillion. And when some of the useless eaters wake up and say, hey, I've been poisoned, we make the other useless eaters buy them off. Isn't that great? Just like the Catholic Church and the pedophile priesthood. They work hand in glove with governments. 90% of the schools in Ireland are run by the Catholic Church. They have raped into infinity. They have ruined tens of thousands of lives. And what do? When the people finally get fed up and ready to bring torches and pitchforks through the streets, they have another political commission. And they do some fact-finding. And when they're done with all their fact-finding in the commission, they'll do a taxpayer payoff. Wait a minute. Hordes of Roman Catholic clergy have raped children, have murdered children for decades. And not a one of them is being arrested, prosecuted, and executed, preferably in a way that brings real justice. Instead, they all go free, and the taxpayer pays the victim, or what's left of the victim's family. Oh, wow. What a great parallel. The Catholic Church. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they transport that priest to South America or somewhere else where they don't know them, and they can do this whole sick, satanic,
Love you, Jesse. Home run, Jesse. We have a saying here on Team Cirucci, not born here. That is why the priests are never from where they're acting, because that might risk giving them a bit of compassion for the people that they are committing crimes against. They're always outsiders. That's usually the case for politicians. Politicians are almost never from their home district because they're criminals. They're preying upon their constituents. And that's exactly right. We call that the pedophile shuffle, Jess. A priest will rape children for years. And the poor Catholic family that has no idea what to do properly, stupidly, will find out, go to the bishop, Your Eminence, Father McLaughlin has raped my little boy, has sodomized my little boy. I'm sorry about that, my daughter. I'm sorry about that. Oh, we'll take care of it. You will never see Father McLaughlin again. I will send him on a 2-week vacation, and I will put him in a new diocese where they have no idea that they have a child rapist in their midst. And he'll go right back and do it some more. The pedophile shuffle. How did they get away with this? I highly recommend the 2015 award-winning movie Spotlight with Roman Catholic Michael Keaton and Jewish Liev Schreiber. Fantastic with a couple of minor exceptions. It is utter bunk that the Jesuit-run Boston Globe ever did its job. They were allowed to do their job. And it is utter bunk that the Roman Catholic Church controls Boston just because it's Boston. No, everywhere. Everywhere. Great scenes in the movie where Mark Ruffalo, also Roman Catholic, pro-abortion Roman Catholic Mark Ruffalo, playing Mike Resendez. Love Mike Resendez. I think Mike really wants to talk. I almost had communication with Mike. Great guy. Continues to do great work as well as he can from being on the inside. Talking to the lawyer, Mitch Garabedian. I forget the actor's name who played Mitch Garabedian. And says, wait a minute, let me get this right, Mitch. Are you saying that the Roman Catholic Church took official documents out of the courthouse, stole them? And Garabedian says, I'm not crazy, but this is Boston. No. That's the power they have everywhere. How many, real quick, out of my book, Eaters of Children? Charles Manson has been in prison for forever and ever and ever. Never see the light of day. How many people did Charles Manson kill? To be locked up in prison forever and ever and ever.
7 or 10 or something, or actually he did none. He actually got people to do that for him.
Home run. How many people did Charlie Manson kill? None. He didn't kill any. 0. His family filled with Catholics. I'll forget some of the names. I'll have to pull them up for you. Some crazy females. He convinced them with the power of his mind. He's a puppet. He's a stooge for the real murders that were going on. Particularly Roman Polanski and his Jewish Roman Polanski and his Roman Catholic girlfriend who were slaughtered along with their baby. A literal satanic deal. Charlie Manson. Charlie Manson was placed in Boys Town by a Roman Catholic priest prison chaplain. It was such a bad experience for him, he ran away after only 2 weeks. What was going on in Boys Town in Omaha, Peyton Manning there, Nebraska? It was the source of the so-called Franklin cover-up that had nothing to do with the Franklin Federal Credit Union and everything to do with the Roman Catholic boys' orphanage of Boys Town, where they were farming out little boys to be sodomized by the rich and shameless. And a Roman Catholic seminarian named John DeCamp was given a mission by the prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith, which is also known as the Inquisition, at the time, Joseph Ratzinger, a Nazi youth. Hey, John, do me a favor and take care of this for us. Smooth this over. It's the Boys Town cover-up. Turn it into the Franklin cover-up. And that's exactly what John DeCamp did. John DeCamp, with his lineage back to Operation Phoenix, slaughtering women and children, trafficking women and children out of Vietnam, along with was it Casey, the Roman Catholic CIA director, who was the station chief in Saigon. Bear with me, and I'll pull it up for you.
So a lot of people get into the military, with the good, reason behind it, like yourself, you want to, patriotism or fight for freedom. And, as we know, it's basically all just gold, oil, and drugs and, whatever, sex trafficking and all the other, craziness that goes behind it. But, does everybody in there get turned or get kicked out? Why is there not this, insurrection of military that, actually want to stop these, satanic sickos?
Excellent question. It is a very powerful machine that runs on blackmail and compromise. They walk you up. They learn this with their secret societies. They learn this with the Jesuits. They encourage you to commit a crime. They will sometimes entrap you in committing a crime. They will get you at your weakest point. Get you drunk, get you stoned, get you when you want sex, and then get you to have sex with a child. And then record it. And then that's what that whole process was for.
the Epstein process. They did that to all the politicians.
That's why they claimed that Roman Catholic prosecutor Alexander Acosta says that he was told from on high, Epstein works for us. Leave him alone. 5 federal counts. Make them go away. How does that not come out? Okay, well, there's a problem here. He's using children. They're raping children. So anything that you say you're doing is unbelievably evil and illegal. So no, I'm not going to walk away, but they all do, Jesse. They all do, because none of them have courage. None of them have conviction to do the right thing. And the very, very rare ones that do have the courage and conviction to do the right thing get disappeared or get suicided like Gary Webb.
Do you think the injections that they're injecting all the military with, has a lot to do with it? Making them docile, making them more programmed, making them more order followers, making them lose their actual sense of morality?
It's a big part of it, Jesse. I wish I could tell you what is in this vaccine. The bottom line is, don't take it. The bottom line is, if you've taken it, don't take the booster. Stop. Stop right now. They are purposefully polarizing everyone. Good cops, good soldiers are all being forced to leave or take the vaccine. It is a line of demarcation. It's a line in the sand. Excuse me. And you're right. They're making absolutely sure that everyone on their team is on their team. I still think, Jesse, that in the end, it's the ones on the inside that break that are going to make a difference. They want to push us so hard that there's civil war because they are insulated. They have layer after layer. Who are you going to go after? You're going to go after a police officer? You're going to go after a soldier? That does nothing. That takes care of them. That's exactly what they want. You're going to go after a politician? I doubt you'll be successful, but even if you do, they're a puppet. And this is why it's so important that I do what I do. Because I try to show people names, places, and dates. Now, here's one thing. This is the reason why I say it's the Jesuits and it's not anybody else. Who has confessionals? Do the Freemasons have confessionals? Do the Jews have confessionals? Who else do they say? Do the Illuminati have confessionals? The nervous system, the intelligence gathering. Who is a worldwide organization with a military hierarchy whose leader is the Black Pope, the superior general? They actually have more power than the black nobility because they have the infrastructure. Like I was telling you before, Francisco Franco, the fascist dictator of Spain, devout Roman Catholic, managed, what was his name? Escriba, the priest who managed him, whose handler, was trafficking the children of his political enemies through the Catholic Church. Franco's gone. The Roman Catholic Church continued to traffic children. Why? Because the Roman Catholic Church, unlike any other religion anywhere, runs infrastructure, schools, orphanages, hospitals, where they all victimize the innocent. No other religion, secular United States of America, gives, just like I told you, poor Charlie Manson. Judges give orphans to Roman Catholic orphanages. Anthony Fauci was experimenting on black babies and orphans in Roman Catholic orphanages, giving them AZT and murdering them. No other religion. That's what sets the Roman Catholic Church apart. That's what sets the Jesuits apart. They are willing to do what they do unto their own death. They are the real jihadis. There's no such thing as jihad. The CIA created jihad. What's his name? Glenn Greenwald has this thing he likes to say. And although Glenn is controlled opposition, a homosexual Jew, he's controlled opposition, but he still sort of does his job, and I appreciate that. Every time you uncover a terrorist cell of 3 terrorists, 2 of them are on the FBI or CIA payroll, and the third one is an idiot. Bingo. That's true, whether you're talking about jihadis or domestic terrorists. Every time you uncover a terrorist cell, 2 of them are on the FBI, CIA payroll, and the other one is an idiot. That you talked them into doing something really stupid. Same is true with traffickers. Same is true as drug runners. If you really want to make it rich as a drug runner, you better go to the government. Fast and Furious. How many people went to jail over Fast and Furious? The same number of people Charlie Manson killed. None. How many people went to jail over the failure of 9/11? 0. You gave machine guns, real assault. I can't own an assault rifle. I don't have $30,000. What is it now? That was when I looked at that 10 years ago. Probably $60,000. I don't have $60,000 to buy myself a real assault rifle. You gave assault rifles, 50 caliber sniper rifles, machine guns, explosives, RPGs to the Sinaloa drug cartel, and then you lost it all? Are you effing kidding me? Why are you not waiting to be executed, Eric Holder and everyone down the line? And instead, Eric Holder said a couple years, I might run for president. I did such a good job as attorney. I might run for president. Are you kidding me? This is why I do what I do, Jess. This is why I do what I do.
Definitely sounds like the insane asylum. So where, you're talking about these confessionals. So is that where they listen and then find the psychopaths and then they actually, recruit them through people that come and say these, possibly horrible things in confession?
Absolutely. It's the beginning. So is a Catholic or Jesuit education. They are taking meticulous notes of who they can take advantage of, who they can use. They have psychological breakdowns of what type of personality can they plug in where. Very often, you have these people that are supposedly seminarians that were going to become a priest and then left the priesthood without becoming a priest. Examples include, Tom Cruise, Jerry Moonbeam Brown, the twice governor of California. Who is the CIA pilot involved in the Kennedy assassination? It'll come to me. Also a seminarian who was the sexual abuser of Lee Oswald. CIA pilot. Okay. Oh, come on. Anyway, it'll come to me. I keep forgetting his name. Yeah, Google. What am I asking Google for? Seminarians. I am convinced that they are. If they are, we don't even know that these guys never became ordained priests. For all we know, they actually were ordained priests. And they get plugged in. Who's another one? The mayor of Seattle, who adopted a minority little boy to rape with his husband and never went to jail. The homosexual far-left Roman Catholic mayor of Seattle, who was never jailed and replaced by a Roman Catholic hard-left homosexual there in Seattle. I'm convinced that they have this process where they examine people and they know exactly where they can plug them in. And if these guys really are not becoming priests, they're saying, you know what, little Moonbeam Jerry, as good a job as you would do as a Jesuit priest, you do an even better job as the governor of California, just like your daddy. Because we have these Roman Catholic families that just hand over power. Daddy, son, daddy, daughter, and daughter to Kathleen Sebelius, the daughter of John Gilligan. Kathleen Sebelius was running and ruining Kansas as a vicious, vehement Roman Catholic abortionist when her daddy was running Ohio as governor of Ohio. Both of them far left Roman Catholic. Can't get any better than that. The Dodd family, father and son, far left Roman Catholic. And the father, was it Thomas Dodd? Yes, the father of Thomas Dodd, who the great Nazi hunter in World War II, who was at Nuremberg, who was responsible for exploiting the murder of John F. Kennedy and instituting the 1968 Gun Control Act, which he took word for word from the 1938 Nazi Gun Control Act. The great Roman Catholic far left Thomas Dodd, Nazi fighter, FBI man, Thomas Dodd, whose son, baby Dodd, Christopher Dodd, was personally responsible for the housing bubble. Him with the leftist homosexual Jew, Barney Frank. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, they have a pattern. They use it, and they use it in the confessional, and they use it in Catholic education. Education, Jesse. Who else has thousands upon thousands of schools where they have a constant flow, intelligence gathering, manipulation of kids? People go through a Catholic or a Jesuit education. They have no idea they're being mind controlled. They have no idea because they're asleep to it. And yet they go out and they walk away, even if they're never a Catholic. Even if they, and I guarantee you they go through the motions. You go to a Catholic school, you're taking communion, you're going to the confessional, you're being pressured into doing it. I know I went to a Catholic school.
So is this talking about drinking the blood and eating the flesh? Is that not satanic in itself?
You must do this for a living. You are really good at what you do. You're really good at what you do. John chapter 6 explains fully. Jesus Christ explains that he purposefully tripped people up by saying, eat my flesh and drink my blood. He was doing that on purpose. And he was speaking of the Spirit in the same way when he says, I am the door. You must enter through me. Does that mean that Jesus Christ is really a door? No. It means that you have to make yourself intimate with him. But the Roman Catholic Church, who satanically wishes to keep Christ on the cross for all eternity, says that no, you must physically eat the flesh, transubstantiation, physically drink the blood of a man that we secretly hate, Jesus Christ.
And wasn't it supposed to be, there wasn't supposed to be any statues or idols, or, this was the whole reason why Jesus came, to stop their idolatry worship of their, inanimate objects. So he shouldn't even be on a cross. He shouldn't even be being worshipped. And they seem to have twisted and perverted that as well.
On April 6, 32 AD, Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, destroyed all religion. Jesus of Nazareth destroyed all religion for all time. No more priests, no more go-betweens, no more pulpits, no more miniature hodges, no more miniature, what do you call it when you go to a sacred place? No more structure. All you need is you and Christ.
Your heart.
And your heart. And you find out and you study by reading, from the Christian perspective, you find out by reading the Bible. And within 400 years, the Roman Empire rebuilt all the satanic accoutrements of religion and called it Christianity. And that's when Jesus Christ, in spite of Jesus Christ putting to death religion, all religion is satanic. All religion is satanic, no matter what they say or do. Organized religion. You have to be your own pastor. You have to be your own scientist. You have to be your own healer. You have to do it for yourself. I know it's easy to pass the buck. You're busy. You got to put food on the table. You got to do your job with a COVIDiot nappy on your face all day. You got to fight these fights. You got kids to worry about. I got news for you. You are swimming in an evil, poisonous environment. Everyone is out to get you. It's not paranoia, it's reality. The experts hate you. The organizations want to enslave you. The best thing that ever happened out of this was people were forced not to bring their kids to school and to church. The best thing that ever happened. Because those are epicenters of poison and slavery. You got to do it for yourself. And if you're a Christian, how do you think the early Christians did it? It was one-on-one. It was me and Christ. And every once in a while, never on the same day, never in ritual, never to a sacred place. Pilgrimage was the word I was looking for. Never to the same time. There's no ritual to it. That's the whole point. Jesus Christ said, I'll give you an outline, things you could think of when you pray. And after he did that in Matthew 6, and he told them what the outline was, this is the most repeated prayer in human history. Jesus has got to be saying, I told you not to do that. I told you at the beginning, don't use mindless repetition like the heathen do. It's right in here and in here.
You have that connection. You don't need a go-between.
Absolutely. And that's what the Catholic Church is. They exploit that. The guilt of sin and mistakes and evil. They exploit that. And they compromise people and blackmail people. And this is what's going to make the difference, Jesse. At some point, even people who are compromised are going to say, I'm done. I no longer care what you do to me. What you've done with my kids, with other people's kids, I'm going to suffer to do the right thing. I now don't care if you publish those pictures of 15 years ago with me and that little kid. I will tell people what happened. I will tell people that I didn't know what I was doing, that I was stoned. And that you blackmailed me for 15 years and made me commit crimes because I'm finally hit my breaking point. I don't care what you do to me anymore because I need my soul back. It's coming. They're pushing people to that breaking point. Prior to this, Jesse, they had this blackmail thing down pat. And I got to tell people, anybody that was thinking that Donald Trump or any public figure at the national stage is going to be your savior, wake up. Wake up. Do you know how compromised that guy is? Look up Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, inappropriate. Type that in to Google, the search engine, and see what you come up with.
So let's talk about the World War II and Americans and Germans supposedly losing. And then all of a sudden, all of their, doctors and scientists and all these people get transported into America to take over, the businesses, to take over the pharmaceuticals, taking over NASA, taking over all these things. So, to me, I believe that, they actually won the war. And they just pretended that they lost in for them to be able to, quietly, secretively, put their their hooks into every single part of the most powerful at that time nation.
David Ferry, not to throw you off, David Ferry was the CIA, the homosexual CIA daredevil pilot who was the abuser of Lee Oswald, and also a Roman Catholic priest. I think David was Jesuit trained and was a seminarian to become a priest himself. I told you it would come to me. World War II, 100% needless war. The purpose of World War II was to punish Germany as the enemy of Rome, the birthplace of the Reformation and Martin Luther in 1517. Adolf Hitler was completely a puppet who was controlled by a Jesuit priest named Bernard Stampfel. Stampfel actually wrote Mein Kampf for Adolf Hitler. It's an historical fact. A Jesuit priest wrote Mein Kampf for Adolf Hitler. Arnon Goff, Albert Hardel, Austin Opp, Franz von Papen. These are all powerful Roman Catholics behind the Nazi Third Reich. Franz von Papen bankrolled the Third Reich. Heinrich Himmler, a Jesuit priest. Hermann Muckermann, Hitler's ex-Jesuit eugenicist. Martin Bormann, secret Catholic, whose son became a Jesuit priest. Karl Haushofer, a Roman Catholic Nazi. I think he was a concentration camp guy too. Let's see here. Kurt Waldheim, another Roman Catholic Nazi who eventually was successful to become a United Nations Secretary General. Secretary General. What the heck? Secretary General? Surgeon General? Who comes up with this? It sounds like they're coming out of Europe. Otto Skorzeny, the Special Forces guy, Roman Catholic. Reinhard Gehlen, Roman Catholic. Rudolf Hess. If it weren't for the Roman Catholic Church. Oh, Eugenio Pacelli, Pius number 12. He was so overtly involved in the Third Reich that they had to cover up and call him Hitler's Pope. The other way around. Hitler was a puppet. Hitler was Pius number 12. Eugenio Pacelli's, also a Freemason, by the way, was Pacelli's puppet. Hitler was Pacelli's puppet.
Was Hitler the bastard son of the Rothschild with a maid?
I think so. I'm not sure. What I can tell you is that he was messed up. He had an incestuous relationship with a younger cousin and was writing her love letters. And you know who went in and grabbed up the love letters so that he would not be implicated? Jesuit priest Bernard Stampfel. He was a puppet. He was weak and diseased, just like poor Barack Obama. He was easy to control. And that's why towards the end of the war, when he was destroying the powerful effort that was the German war machine, it was on purpose. No one would dare question him. He was making ridiculous, suicidal decisions, causing their greatest generals, like Erwin Rommel, to commit suicide. That's because he had a Jesuit that he was answering to a Jesuit named Heinrich Himmler. By the way, Heinrich Himmler, what was he? Oberfuhrer? Was actually higher up than Fuhrer? Look that one up.
See, and the reason why I bring that up is because, out of that came the Nuremberg Code, which is, so, people are using that a lot these days, but, hence there's supposed to be this Nuremberg Code, but yet, they're forcibly wanting to inject, these medical experiments onto people, and, it goes against exactly what the Nuremberg Code is supposed to be.
Well, they had to play the game They had done so much unbelievable harm that they had to play a game, Jesse, and do their job a little bit and set limits that they would ignore later. Nuremberg. You know what reminds me of Nuremberg is a Jesuit by the name of Edmund Walsh, one of the most powerful Jesuits of his day, maybe ever, who was personally involved at Nuremberg, representing the United States government to screen out anything that might implicate the Vatican. And by the way, everyone, this is common knowledge, the worst of the Nazis didn't get punished. What happened to them? They were gobbled up. They were secreted out to South America, or they went right to Washington, D.C., a.k.a. Little Rome on the Potomac. How did they get to South America?
Submarine.
The Vatican rat lines.
And I heard submarine them out.
Between the United States government and the Roman Catholic Church. What? The same thing that happened for the assassins that killed Abraham Lincoln? The Surratt family, the devout Roman Catholics. Who killed Abraham Lincoln? One guy. Lone gunman, John Wilkes Booth. What? It was a plot. It was a sophisticated plot created by Roman Catholic priests and hatched in the boarding house of Mary Surratt with her son, who was in training to become a priest himself, John Surratt. And oh, by the way, John Wilkes Booth never died. He was not shot and burned up in a house. He lived. And I've got the source on that. What happened to John Surratt? John Surratt escaped. Who helped him escape? The Catholic Church. He went up through Canada and into Europe and down through Rome, and at one point was disguised as a papal guard. Are you kidding me? And they finally brought. Why was there a military tribunal for Abraham Lincoln's investigation, assassination? Because the evidence was so overwhelming that it was a Catholic assassination plot that they had to put a lid on it somehow. And nobody puts a lid on it like the military. That's why you got people like Fauci and Deborah Birx and Jesuit-trained devout Roman Catholic CDC president or head or whatever they could, chairman, Robert Ray Redfield, all going through the military first, murdering people through the military first, doing biological experiments in the military, because that's where real corruption can have a lid put onto it. John Surratt was eventually extradited out of Egypt and brought back, and what happened? Oops, mistrial. Walked away scot-free. As a matter of fact, both the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy was hatched in the devout Roman Catholic city of New Orleans.
So is this a script that they're writing? Because this is like the craziest movie that you could ever possibly imagine playing in real time. And, part of this, when they talk about, revelations, because, I'm more of a preterist view that, it happened, and then they're just trying to recreate it by everything that they're doing and making people believe in the power of manifestation. We've got this beautiful gift that we have inside of us. And if they get everybody to believe certain things, then they can recreate this insane, script that, that they're putting into modern day society.
I'll tell you, Jesse, it could be. It very well could be a movie plot. But both praetorism and futurism were hatched by Jesuits to cover up just how incredibly obvious it is that the Roman Catholic Church is the fourth and final beast, the great whore of Babylon in Daniel and Revelation. The pre-tribulation rapture was created by a Jesuit priest named Manuel de la Cunza. Praetorism was hatched by Jesuit Luis de Alcazar. Futurism was hatched by a Jesuit named Francisco Ribera. Dispensationalism, the ridiculous idea that there's a massive chess clock in heaven, and God deals with the church at a certain point in time and then stops and then starts dealing with Israel at a certain point in time. Utter sophistry created by the Jesuits, along with the ridiculous heresy, the heretical idea that modern Israel has any place in the Bible. 100% Jesuit heresy. There is no such thing as modern Israel, not biblically, not prophetically. Modern Israel has no place in a Christian's theology. None. Zero. Read Galatians, particularly chapter 3. Jesus Christ took the inner wall and broke it down. There is no such thing as Jew or Greek anymore. There's one, and that's someone who follows Jesus Christ. Praetorism. Yeah, so we are living the book of Revelation right now. We are living it right now. Read Revelation 17. The great harlot, clothed in scarlet and purple, drunk on the blood of the saints. Couldn't be more obvious, the Roman Catholic Church. Jesuits rewrote it. How is it, Jesse, that 99.9% of Christians obey Jesuit doctrine that has erased the Jesuits from our understanding? What an incredible success. What an incredible success. Your two choices about understanding the book of Revelation are futurism and praetorism, both of them designed by Jesuits. Wow. Like I said, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, they breathe the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is the fourth and final beast. Real quick, who is the Antichrist? Jesus himself told us in Matthew 24, you don't accept me. Many will come in my name. They will come in my name. Them you will accept. Did Barack Obama ever claim to be Jesus Christ? Did Adolf Hitler claim to be Jesus Christ? Did Joseph Stalin claim? Did Mao Zedong, the monster who slaughtered 70 million Chinese, ever claim to be Jesus Christ? Did Napoleon Bonaparte ever claim to be Jesus Christ? No. Every single pope claims to be Jesus Christ. Every single pope. When they speak ex cathedra from the chair, they do so and write in capital plural pronouns, equating themselves with God.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, do they claim to be Jesus or do they claim to be God?
Yes, no, they claim to be what's the Latin? The Cari Christi? Something to that effect. They are Christ himself. They are the embodiment of Christ. They are Christ on earth. Yes. Yes, they claim to be Christ himself. They fulfill this prophecy. It is the Roman, not just Pope Francis, every pope is anti-Christ. Every one. Always have been. No entity has slaughtered more Christians, has tortured and murdered more Christians than the Roman Catholic Church. The
100%.
very, go ahead.
100%. Look what happened to the Native Americans. 90 million slaughtered in the last 250 years. And that's 90 million. There's less than 10 million natives here left when there was over 100 million.
I am covering this in my upcoming book, The Disciples of Ra. There is a multiplicity, a layered cover-up in the slaughter of native peoples, particularly in South America, with frauds, psyops like, smallpox blankets. No such thing. It is a psyop and a cover-up of a literal genocide conducted by Roman Catholic conquistadors from Spain and Portugal. The barbarism involved. I wrote Eaters of Children, and I still had trouble going through what they did to native peoples, particularly in South America. on behalf of the Catholic Church. Just unbelievable. Capturing just cutting off a body part and throwing it to one of their dogs to keep the dog having a thirst for human flesh, and then turning the poor Indian loose to stumble away bleeding, and then turning the dog loose, and then having the dog with some body armor so that even if the poor Indian tried to fight back, they wouldn't be able to stop the crazy dog, the crazed dog. Absolutely cutting. I mean, we've heard about this over and over again. Cutting babies out of wombs. Unbelievable barbarism. Well, you can't have that in the history books, especially as being represented by the Roman Catholic Church through the nations of Spain and Portugal. You can't let that come out. Smallpox blankets. Oh, plague killed these natives. Plague wiped them out. No. Unbelievable barbarism. Unbelievable barbarism. Where were we before that? I was going to hit something else as well. Let's see here. I lost my train of thought going down that road. But give me
you got a lot of information, brother. I definitely want to bring you back on for another session. I have this appointment that I got to get to by 3:00 in about 50 minutes. So
I love you, Jesse. I'm at your service. You say when and where, and I'll be there, my friend. You're the best.
I'm going to bring you on again soon. Like, I want to continue this. You have such an amazing memory, and you've got a lot of, facts, lots of names, lots of things that, this isn't your opinion. You're not really giving your, interpretation. You're showing what, evidence that you've been able to remember in your head, and, a little bit of help on the typing there, but most of the stuff is locked in, and, this is very good stuff, brother.
Love you back, Jesse. Ron's comment, who controls language? Oh, the Jesuits are the ultimate linguists. They held the lock and key over Japan and Asia because they were the only ones who had infiltrated Asia and Japan and China, and controlled the language and controlled Clavel, James Clavel's shogun, did a great job of bringing that up. The Portuguese, the Japanese Portuguese dictionaries that were so critical in Clavel's Shogun book. Boy, Jesuits control language, and they are masters at it. You enter into a debate and you don't even realize you've already lost the debate because you're using their language and they've spun it against you before you even get started. I'm at your service. Go to your appointment, brother. You just let me know, and I'll be happy. And give me heads up on what you'd like to cover, and I'll actually do some more background so I'm not trying to pull it out of my head.
Well, for me, it's just, I used to do a lot of, research before, for guests and stuff, and think of a whole bunch of questions. And now I just let whatever flows as the conversation flows, and then whatever comes to mind or head, or, I just kind of try to let it flow through me. And then a lot of people, when they make different comments, I try to pull out some things from people just to keep everything in that energy vibration of, of what, of what's happening. So
you got a fantastic audience. Love you guys. Greg, Ron, Elf. I love all you guys. You got a fantastic audience. And you know what, Jess? I accept your challenge. You've thrown down the gauntlet, and I will be ready for it. We will do this as a free flow conversation. All I ask is that you give me a second or two if I want to pull up a document to try and give you names, places, and dates. That's what we do. Names, places, and dates. Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself.
And this program allows you to screen share as well. So with this, you can pull up, you can show people on the next one. So I'm thinking on a good time is on December 30th, if you're up for it. So
sure.
Yeah. So whatchamacallit, it was going to have Max Egan, but he said he still hasn't got a place yet. So there's a time slot that is opened up.
Love Max. Max is still floating around in Mexico.
Yeah, he's in Mexico, but he was supposed to have a place to live in, and
He's got to get out of the mansion that he's in, and he's got to move to someplace more permanent.
yeah, I think that's what he's kind of looking for right now. So, so that's why he just messaged me actually this AM, and he said that he wants to come back again, but he's just right now he's still trying to find that permanent place because it was a little bit of a kind of a gong show for him last time he was supposed to be on.
He's fantastic, love, and you had man, all your guests are just fantastic. See if you can get David Cole Lernpa. See if you can get him, and then hook me up with him because he's fantastic. He's giving the Aboriginal point of view from Australia right now. I just don't know how to get in touch with him. You've got the force. So I don't know how to do that. You're getting fantastic guests.
David Cole, someone if they can message me that, or just you, maybe if you can message me, look to get David Cole, and then
I will. I'll hit you on Skype.
Maybe we can even go all three of us.
Stone. Your interviews are fantastic. Your Sasha Stone interview was just phenomenal. He was a great guest. Didn't you have Sasha and Max on at the same time as well?
No, Max was supposed to be on just after Sasha, but Max didn't end up. He ended up his things were too crazy for him, so he couldn't show up. So Sasha wanted me to give Max a message, but Max didn't end up showing up. But we've had Sasha, I believe, 4 times now on the Missing Link. So.
Fantastic. He's the best. You're doing fantastic work. I'm so excited to be connected with you, Jesse. The 30th, you name it. Send me a reminder and we'll get it done. And I'll send you the reminder about Lernpa, David Cole.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you, everybody, for all your likes, comments, shares. The Missing Link is love inspiring new knowledge. And we definitely got a lot of that here today, a lot of new knowledge. And, what a beautiful man you are. So thanks for, sharing, this and not being afraid to talk about what's going on because, that's what they rule by is fear. They make people afraid to speak out, make people afraid to take a stand. And it takes people to stop being afraid for us to stop this insane agenda, which is, destroying everything and it's destroying everybody. And, it takes people like you. So awesome. Tomorrow, we've got at 7 p.m. Eastern, we got Kumara. He's a water expert. He talks about the healing properties of water and, how that, can help us. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, we got Annette. She's a sex trafficked victim who was in the Hollywood sex trade, right, from, very early age. She fears a little bit about her life, so she won't be on video. She will just be on voice, telling her story. And she's also doing a march for, coming up in March for, helping sex trafficked victims. And then at 11 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, we got Raylene Short. So she's, another, amazing speaker. So this is the Missing Link. We're just trying to do the best we can to get information out there and, just to share people's perspective on what's going on and maybe, help you along your journey. So thanks very much, Giovanni, Johnny Cirucci, this was amazing. And, there's a lot of people still here, and, you're definitely, captivated the people here with your information. So thanks for all you do. Love you, man. And we'll see you again on the 30th.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay, bye, everyone. Thank you.